getting close to the bit where it's called Sunset Strip, where you have all those crazy billboards, but that's also a place where you have a lot of clubs, restaurants, strip clubs, and it's been like that for many years, since like 30s pretty much, where Led Zeppelin, The Doors used to play in some little venues around this area. I've tried to stop somewhere here because this is the place worth saying a few words about. That building here is Sunset Tower Hotel. Let me just do that. It was built in 1931 in Art Deco style, so you can see on the face of it some different sculptures. And from the very beginning, it's always been a favorite for actors and basically artists from LA because of its unique style. And that was one of the first high-rise apartment buildings that was placed in LA. And many very famous people lived here, like Marilyn Monroe in the top floor penthouse, Frank Sinatra. Also, there was a crazy story about John Wayne, and it's a true story. He had a party there, then he disappeared for a couple of hours, and then he got back with a cow. He just walked in with it. And he said, that if anyone wants a cream for your coffee, just go to the source. Let me show you a bit more of the Sunset Strip. That's the answer. That's where we are, Beverly Hills. How I understand it, it's like two parts of Beverly Hills. To the left, it's all like posh shops and very rich people area. Well, both are rich people area. But this to the right, we're gonna go there in a second too. That's more residential, so that's where people live, and you have streets like that with classic palm trees on both sides. It's interesting because this is a very old part of the city. At first it was just like a ranch, just like a small settlement in the 18th century, so they only had some cattle here and they were growing some beans. But then some huge investors came at the beginning of 20th century, and they were looking for oil. They didn't find it, or at least not as much as they wanted to, but they found some water in the ground, so they decided to build an estate. And the name of it comes from Beverly Farms in Massachusetts. That was the other estate there, and Beverly Hills because there are hills everywhere around. And that only happened in 1914, so since then it's called Beverly Hills. Now we're heading to Rodeo Drive. One random street in Beverly Hills. Well, for me that's a very like a classic Los Angeles vibe from the movies. We are on Mulholland Drive. Of course I couldn't miss it in exploration of Los Angeles, because that's one of the most iconic roads probably in the entire world. It turns out that it's not a coincidence. It was opened in 1924, then it was called Mulholland Highway, but it was designed to be one of the most scenic roads in the United States. So that's how it was put on the map, to just go through beautiful places. So you can see, when you're on one side of it, you can see into the ocean, into downtown. Then on the other side you look into the valley. So the drive itself is really spectacular. Also the person who it is named after, William Mulholland, that's a quite interesting person. He was responsible for he was in the water department of Los Angeles, and in 1914 he designed an overlooked building, the water aqueduct, which was pretty much stealing water from the valley and from the river, about 200 miles or 300 kilometers from here. And that started California water wars, because the farmers from that area basically were left without water for the farming purposes. So they tried to shut down the aqueduct. Also, at some point, I think they sabotaged it and tried to destroy it. And I think they succeed for a little bit, but then they repaired it, and it was then still in use. And then Mulholland's career ended, where eventually he signed off like the safety certificate for one of the dams that was part of the whole water system for LA. And then 12 hours after that happened, the dam failed and flooded the whole area. Because this drive is just so stunning and amazing, I'm gonna do a separate video, and I'm gonna put a link to it in the description, where I'm gonna just drive the whole thing, the whole section of Mulholland Drive. So that's gonna be quite long, probably about half an hour. But yeah, if you want to see the whole thing, then you can definitely have a look. Or if you want to fall asleep to a soothing sound of a big twin. Santa Monica Pier. Yeah, can't miss it if you're in LA. That's also one of the landmarks. But interestingly, in 909 that was just built there just to direct the sewer pipes into the ocean. And then just a couple years later they put a little amusement park, and then it started it's like being improved to the state that it's now. But also over the years it had so many renovations, because when there were some storms it got damaged many times. And one in the 80s was quite interesting too, because after a storm they needed to repair it, and they've put a floating crane next to it. And another storm came, and that crane started hitting the pier and destroyed like 1/3 of it. Yeah, beautiful day today, nearly sunset, so perfect time to be here. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and see you on the next adventure.